talk about this idea of contracting versus expanding in our business as we move into this week, as we move into building a life and a business of success. And this came so clear again, this affirmation of the idea, when we were doing Discover Blueprint for Success yesterday. A big piece of that is figuring out our purpose. And so often when we start the class, I love asking everybody what their purpose is. And I'll just take a note and we'll write it down and we'll hear things: to be the best mom, to be, a leader, to empower and give to others, etc., etc. And it's all very external. It's all very big and bold and wonderful dreams. And I'll remind them as we go through the course that that's a vision of how your purpose is going to be lived out, how you need to get centered in you, get an idea of what your purpose is for you before you can become purpose-driven, purpose-centered, and provide it for others. And so on our lesson today, if you're ready, I'm ready, we're going to start this lesson so we can get into the week and get our business started, get our day going, get the things we got to get done. Oh, before we do, thank you, Greg Storch, for, I always tease him about his last name, for being a part of the Ignore No More challenge. Yesterday we were challenged as fathers to just take 29 minutes out, walk, run, jog, boat, bicycle, I don't know, be in motion, as part of a campaign for Ignore No More, which is about domestic abuse and violence. And it was focused on us men, so to speak, to remember our role and how we need to take responsibility and guide and support each other as well. So thank you for that and the money you raised on behalf of that. So expand before we collapse before we expand, or maybe we should collapse instead of expand. In this social media, in this online campaign, in this COVID thing where everybody had their business taken out from under them, maybe they lost customers, maybe they weren't able to do their service-based industries in their home, and sort of externally, everybody contracted for a minute, and then they started just throwing everything they could think of up against the wall, sort of, I say, throwing mud at the wall and expecting it to become stucco or art. There was no center, there was no core. I'm in the real estate industry, and I'll often see somebody with a real estate card, say on one side, I help people find homes or build their dreams through home ownership, or something really centered and sincere, and then I'll flip it over and it's like, and I sell diet products. And I'm like, okay, and if I turn it sideways, is there a third business or a fourth business? I'm not opposed to multiple streams of income. I'm not opposed to hustling and living out your passions. And yes, I can see how maybe because you lost weight and you take this product, or you're engaged in this community of health-minded people, it allows you to live a lifestyle that allows you to be the most effective realtor. But if you're coming to me as a client, if you're coming to me as a potential lead, and we've connected on a certain level, that in this case being buyer, seller to realtor, and I see all of these other things that are unrelated and unsupported without explanation, I'm like, okay, does that mean they're not successful at this thing and they're doing that thing? They're not successful with this thing and they're doing that thing? They're not in mastery of this thing, so they've got all of these little tiny things? And so it begins to confuse your customer, it begins to confuse your client. And so when I talk about this in the business building, when I talk about this as a branding issue, so often it's because we haven't connected to our story, our business voice. Every business has a voice. Every large company that you look at has a voice. I believe I'm almost certain it's Ford right now is running a series of TV commercials where they show Ford trucks. They show a pause where they talk about how, because they're an American company and American companies are built strong and able to be flexible, and they go through this whole thing about what an American company is, they were able to convert and help build respirators to help build Americans so Americans could go back to work, because Ford is for the working man. And then they show the Ford truck again. They were able to bridge that. Like, why is Ford building respirators? Because we do what we do so Americans can go back to work, so Americans can be strong, to make America strong again. They understood that they had this piece in this middle, this thing called this respirator, ventilator, building thing, that they had to explain in a way that connected the two ends so people wouldn't think that Ford went out of business, so to speak, or that their respirators were defective because Ford's only supposed to build trucks. They knew their voice. They created their voice. They branded their voice around the idea of, hey, Ford puts America to work. We've always been about that. It's like, okay. And in order for Americans to be about work, Americans need to be about getting, past the COVID and having got it. Beautiful, perfect job. You look at Apple, and Apple says it's always about the experience. And they are so good at it that when you go to open the box, they've calculated how long it takes for that box to open. It's got this special kind of suction sizing thing. It's designed that way. It's not by accident, to help build the anticipation, but without building the frustration. If you're an online business, if you're a solopreneur, mompreneur, or employer of 500, and you just keep generating products to generate income, to generate opportunities, what you're going to find is that at some point, people aren't going to know what you do. People are going to be like, I don't know what that company is about, or that company is about so many things. The opportunity, the business, the thing that I want to be engaged with them in may not be their priority, and if I'm not their priority, then I don't want to be in business with them. I say this again, hear me. You can do multiple things. You can be part of multiple businesses or strategies or products. Your responsibility before you expand is to maybe collapse it down so that you can understand what your story is, what your brand is, what your voice is, and then recreate the business as you expand around that. Personal example. So if you go to the SuccessLifeU website, in the letter u.com, it says discover, grow, master, tell. I help people discover their purpose, grow their purpose, master their purpose, and then tell about their purpose. I help businesses discover their brand, grow their brand, master their brand, tell their brand. I help authors discover their story, grow their story, master their story, tell their story. If somebody comes to me and says, well, I'm a writer, I'm like, great, tell me about your story. I'm a business, tell me about your business's story. I'm an individual that wants to transform my life. I've been in a stuck position, whatever. Great. Tell me about where you're at and where you want to go. That's the discovering and the growing and the mastering and the telling. I know that there's a customer experience, a client experience that I want them to arc through. And they may come in at different points, but it's my responsibility as the business owner to be able to connect those pieces, to align those pieces in a way that they're like, now I see where I belong. Now I see why I connect to him. Now I see why he's the one that I should be doing business with. If you've been struggling with your business, if you've been fighting with your business, if you think you are working 10 times harder than you should for $3 less than you should, it's probably because you're having to filter through leads, prospects, contacts, whatever you call them in your business, that don't know who you are, and you spend most of your time explaining to them what you do and why you do it and how you do it better than the other guy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then they're like, oh, well, I didn't know that. Exit stage left. What I'm going to encourage you to do, what I'm going to ask you to do, is we move into June and we begin to start the second half of the year and all of that. Look at everything that you've got going on, from your Facebook to LinkedIn to social, like everything on social media, everything on your desk, everything you're trying to sell, produce, promote, and say, okay, what is the story of my company, my business, myself? And how consistently am I telling that story so people know who and what I'm about? Because you and I know that ultimately people do business with people they know. If they don't know who you are and what you're about and why you do what you do, they're never going to get to the rest of that sentence. I'm encouraging you. I'm asking you. I've seen it and I see it and I see it, and I wish I could take all day long and just send memo after memo out to people and say, what is it you do? Because I'm not clear. What is your specialty? What is your essence? What is it you do? And I get it. Some of us do a lot of things, but and if you've been in a class or a coaching company, or if you have watched Success Life Live more than once, you've heard that expression that I say over and over again. You got to get elected before you can create change. In order to get elected, you have to have a clear message. You have to have a platform that people understand. You have to have that thing that people get, so that then they can say, I want this guy, I want this gal, I want this company, I want this service. And then when you get elected, then you can begin to implement the other smaller elements, the other supporting platforms, to the bigger one that got you elected. And that's not, don't hear that wrong. What I'm saying is, get clear on who you are. Bring it down, small it in. Quit trying to be everything to everybody, because you'll end up being nothing to anybody. Collapse, then expand. Brand, know your story, then tell your story, and grow. Remember, you got to discover who you are so other people can discover who you are. Then as you begin to grow who you are, other people will begin to grow in their connection to you, and your business will begin to grow. And as you begin to master your story and who you are, you'll be able to influence more people, both inside your business and outside your business. You'll begin to master that thing called business. You'll move from struggling entrepreneur to business owner. And then guess what? You get to tell your journey. You get to tell your legacy. And that's not always in a book or a speech or a keynote. It may be just looking down at your grandkids on Father's Day and going, yep, Grandpa made it. I made it. I get to be here now, safe, secure, with this roof and this family, because I knew who I was, and I grew through that, and I mastered it, so that today I can tell you how to do it in your life, your business, grandson, granddaughter, great grandkids, whatever it is. All right? That's all I'm encouraging you to do today. One other thing I'm going to encourage you to do: take a moment and become mindful. All right? Before you take off for the day, before you get caught up in the chaos and the confusion of the day and trying to get the emails cleared off your desk, just take a moment and breathe in. Blow out all the crap, the confusion, the stress, the fear, the doubt, the insecurity that kind of clutters up our heads. Breathe in the possibility that this is the day. This is the opportunity you've been waiting for. Breathe in the understanding that you are worthy of your success. You are worthy of it, my friends. You are worthy of it. All right, if I can help you in any way, you know where to find me. Success Life, letter U. And somebody asked me once, does that mean university? I'm like, well, could also mean it's about you, meaning the letter U, you. It's about you and your success. It's about building you and your business. It's about becoming a master, because in school we discover our purpose, our passions, we grow it, we master it, and then we go out and change the world through it or tell it. So you go out and live your life with success today, and I'll see you later today. Till then, be well, my friends. Be well.